Next question, the member for Orleans.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. My question is for the Premier. Mr. Speaker, over the years, I've received numerous emails, phone calls, and letters about the state of our education system. Recently, Catholic teachers reached out to articulate concerns about the teacher shortage, the billions in repair backlog, and the lack of per-pupil funding. But, Mr. Speaker, what I've rarely been asked about is greater access to the sale of beer and wine. Now, I don't mind selling beer and wine at the corner store, but as a fiscal conservative, I do mind the billion-dollar price tag that comes along with it. I wonder, Mr. Speaker, how this government is going to make up the billion-dollar shortfall, already having ballooned the provincial debt by nearly $100 billion. Taking on more debt is not a fiscally responsible approach. So, Mr. Speaker, my question, to avoid taking on massive amounts of new debt, why won't this government auction licenses to sell alcohol and beer, like Conservative governments in Alberta and Saskatchewan, and use that money to better fund our education system?
The Minister of Finance.
Mr. Speaker, what the member opposite is really saying is what their party would do is they would increase the taxes and the fees on the consumers and the small businesses of Ontario. Is that the right thing to do? I don't think so, Mr. Speaker. And you know what this is about? We heard from people, we heard from businesses, they want to stimulate the economic activity of Ontario. The Convenience Association said this will create thousands of jobs. You know, the grape growers, the wine growers, the craft brewers, the cideries across Ontario. This is good for Ontario. I don't know what the member opposite has against Ontario businesses, Mr. Speaker. I don't know why the member opposite would want to increase fees and taxes. This is a government that cuts fees and taxes. Now, we'll update the numbers this fall, for sure. But I may remind the member opposite, this member's party also increased the debt to the highest subnational debt in the world. Mr. Speaker, their government got downgraded.
Order. The next supplementary question. Back to the member.
Mr. Speaker, with $100 billion added to the debt, it is still the highest subnational debt in the world under this Conservative government. So much so, Mr. Speaker, I actually think he's applying to run for Justin Trudeau in the next election, not Mr. Poliver. This government is so fixated on beer and wine and booze that health care is an afterthought, Mr. Speaker. How can they justify 2 million Ontarians going without a family doctor? Imagine, Mr. Speaker, every resident of the combined cities of Ottawa, Windsor, London, Kingston, and Guelph, no family doctor, Mr. Speaker, with a price tag of $1 billion. Is the price tag of $1 billion really worth the opportunity to go buy a six-pack at the corner store? Is that really what's going to solve our problems, Mr. Speaker? How about $1 billion to reduce the surgical backlog that 250,000 Ontarians are facing? Auctioning the licenses like true Conservative governments in Alberta and Saskatchewan have done would raise hundreds of millions of dollars, money that could be invested.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Minister of Finance.
Mr. Speaker, did that member opposite vote for or against cutting the gas tax?
Against.
Mr. Speaker, did that member opposite and their party vote for or against the budget?
Against.
But one thing they did do when they were in power, they got downgraded by the credit rating agency DBRS, Mr. Speaker. And guess which government has a positive credit watch, not just from DBRS, not just from Moody's, but also S&P. It's this government that's lowering the borrowing costs for the people of Ontario. In fact, that's reversing the trend. It took 15 years to bury this province, Mr. Speaker. It's taken us 6 short years to turn the economy around. As my member colleague here says, 300,000 taillights leaving Ontario, 700,000 headlights bringing jobs back in Ontario, Mr. Speaker. This just never occurred to the member opposite that you can be fiscally responsible and grow the economy.
Thank you very much.